Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about Fabergé Egg McMuffins. We're going to talk about the egg of an economy that Russia has and how it has been pushed off a wall. And we're going to talk about the Western companies that are leaving Russia and the impacts that that's going to have. We're just going to focus on things that have already happened. When it comes to these economic policies that have been enacted. We're not going to talk about the ones that Biden is going to call for, I think the day y'all watch this, because he will soon, reportedly, be calling for revoking Russia's favored nation trading status, which will open the door to a whole new wave of economic policies like this. Now, when this first came up, I made it clear I don't like these. I don't like those that hit the average person. But I can't deny that they're effective. And I had a whole bunch of people ask, how does this work? It doesn't seem like it would be effective. How does it actually produce pressure on Moscow? Okay, so when you're talking about all these Western companies that left, right, most people's understanding of this is those companies left, they closed their locations, their employees are without a job. And yeah, that's part of it, but that's just the beginning. That is just the beginning. The beginning is that when you're talking about companies this size with this many locations, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs overnight. Think back to our public health issue. You know how damaging that can be to the GDP. That is just the start. But to show that it's not just the employees losing their job that causes the real hits, we're going to talk about McDonald's. Because for whatever reason, in something that was incredibly surprising to me, apparently McDonald's Russia, kind of a cool company. At time of filming, they are making it seem as though they are going to continue to pay their employees even though they're not working. Which, cool, but that doesn't stop the effects of them leaving. Okay, most people, at some point in their life, you've been by a fast food joint somewhere near the dumpster when it's hot. And there's that really weird smell that's not trash. It's a different smell. That's grease. There's a person whose whole job is to come and get that grease and dispose of it. Right? Inside the McDonald's, above the grill, there's this hood. And it, provides ventilation. There are these silver slat things that the employees can clean. But up inside that hood, that's normally left to a specialist, somebody from outside, who comes in to clean it. Those people don't have jobs anymore. And the way those professions typically work is they sign a contract to handle all the McDonald's in a certain area. So if they're all closed, they're just out of work. Some of them may have other clients, but probably not. Then think about, what does McDonald's sell? Burgers, right? How many millions of buns do you think all the McDonald's in Russia go through every day? The bakeries that make them, they don't need to make them anymore. So they either close or they lay people off. And since they laid off the bakers, they're not making as many buns, bread products, whatever. They don't need as many truck drivers to move the stuff around. Right? And since all three of those examples, they all used vehicles, right? You had the person to come and collect the grease. They've got a truck for that. The hood cleaning person and the delivery trucks for the bakery. None of those are rolling. People who work on fleets, commercial vehicles, now they have less work. have to lay people off. And it just keeps going. It's an endless chain. Once large segments of the economy just yank themselves out, it's a house of cards. Most economies are. And when you remove significant sections, everything else falls. And this is going to have a lot of damage. This is going to cause a lot of damage. And people have asked, why, admitting that it's effective, why I don't like it. Because I don't think the person working at McDonald's in Chelyabinsk has anything to do with what's going on in Ukraine. I don't think it's that same thing. Don't kick down. The person with less power than you probably isn't the source of your issue. But they end up as, they were just in the way. Because the goal is to reduce economic activity, which reduces tax revenue, which reduces the amount of money Putin can spend on the war. Aside from that, it increases discontent, which means maybe it's not such a good idea to call people up and send them over, because you may need those troops at home, because people might get mad, might cause unrest. All of this is designed to put pressure on the leadership of these countries. Now, generally, this alone isn't enough to cause a shift in leadership, most times. But it helps set the conditions for it. It makes it harder for Putin to sell his war at home when people are getting economically devastated because of it. So that's how this works. And when you think about all of the other stuff that's at play, you can see how damaging it's going to be. This is just a few key companies pulling out. When you're talking about the rest of the sanctions, it's a big deal. I don't think Putin really anticipated this to the degree that it's happened. Russia is now the most sanctioned country on the planet, and they're still planning on piling on more sanctions. They have surpassed Iran. So the economic state in Russia is going to be it's going to be in a bad way for a while. And when it's all said and done, all the king's horses and all the king's men are going to have to try to put that egg of an economy back together again. And when they do, they will probably need Western banks to do it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.